Hi, my name is Paige Nuez. I'm the Director of Family Empowerment with the International Rett Syndrome Foundation. It is our foundation's extreme pleasure to have supported the research that resulted in the development of the Rett Syndrome Communication Guidelines. The importance of advancing communication skills in those with Rett syndrome cannot be understated. And we are so pleased today to share the robust development of a program to surround the communication guidelines to help professionals who are working with individuals with Rett syndrome advance these skills. I'd like to introduce Teresa Bartolotta, consultant with the International Rett Syndrome Foundation and co-author of the communication guidelines, to share more about our program.
Thank you, Paige. So I'll begin today with an overview of the IRSF program. So IRSF implemented a multifaceted effort so that we could build an informed community to support the development of communication skills in individuals with Rett syndrome over the lifespan. And there are two key features we'll highlight. Number one, we wanted to provide access to evidence-based information so that our professionals could utilize best practices. And then number two, we wanted to provide ongoing support through a network so that individuals could continue to develop their skills as they work with persons with Rett syndrome. So let's begin with the problem. We recognize that communication is a key challenge in Rett syndrome. As a matter of fact, it's one of the top concerns that parents of individuals with Rett syndrome have. There is a lack of knowledge in the professional community about how to effectively assess and treat communication in Rett syndrome. Some of the reasons for that are the rareness of the disorder, but also the complexity of the disorder, because Rett syndrome affects so many systems of the body. Individuals with Rett syndrome can have difficulties with speaking, with walking, with breathing, and each of those features impact communication in a unique way. So we recognize that we need to provide specialized knowledge to support teachers and therapists so they can build communication in individuals with Rett syndrome. So we'll begin to describe our methods. How did we approach the problem? Several years ago, IRSF funded a research grant to a team of researchers across the world. I was fortunate to be one of them, to develop evidence-based communication guidelines. These guidelines were published in 2020, originally in English, and now they are available in multiple languages. IRSF also communicated with Maastricht University to collaborate on providing international access to the guidelines through print and downloadable PDFs. Now, once the guidelines were published, we then moved to develop an implementation plan so that we can enable healthcare professionals and educators and families to utilize the guidelines in an effective way. And this program has multiple components. We began with a social media outreach through Facebook Live information sessions. And then we developed a free 3-part webinar series on features of Rett syndrome that affect communication, evidence-based assessment and intervention for development of augmentative communication programs in Rett syndrome. Continuing education units are available for all webinar participants. Professionals who complete those 3 webinars are then eligible to participate in an online network that is moderated by a team of experts in communication who provide multiple services. They answer clinical questions, and then they provide ongoing continuing education support through resources and materials so that professionals who treat people with Rett syndrome with regard to communication will always have access to information to advance their skills. It is also our goal that every speech-language pathologist in the United States knows what Rett syndrome is, so that if they have a person with Rett syndrome on their caseload, they know where to turn for information so they can provide best practices in developing this individual's communication skills. As an added benefit, the materials that we have developed are widely applicable to multiple individuals who have complex communication needs, so their usefulness is varied. So now on to our results. As of summer 2022, we have achieved many of our objectives. And as you can see on the screen, we have already reached a wide global audience, and this continues to grow. I can direct your attention down to the bottom of the poster where we have a QR code, and we encourage you to scan this QR code with your phone, and this will take you to our communication web pages on the IRSF website, and you'll be able to access lots of information. In closing, I'd like to direct you to a quote from Dr. Stephanie Meehan from the University of Kansas. She's one of our moderators and our thought leaders in this area. And what she has done is she has already implemented the communication guidelines in their graduate program in speech pathology at the University of Kansas. So their students will have access to this information as they move through their program. In closing, I want to acknowledge my co-authors of the guidelines. I want to acknowledge the support of our moderators who have joined our forum and are working to build the skills of educators and therapists. And I want to thank all of the families who share this critical information so that their loved ones, teachers and clinicians, can do the best work they can to improve the quality of life of everyone with Rett syndrome. Thank you so much for your attention.